lying on the floor. How's the pacing of today going for you? Is it good? Yeah, not too fast, not too slow? Bit slow for you. Okay. You need more sleep. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind as I'm teaching this lesson. Okay. Interlace your fingers in your habitual way and position your hands, both of your hands, so that they're about upper chest level, and have your elbows wide apart. Your hands not touching yourself, not touching your body. And now begin to rotate both of your forearms, which of course you'll end up rotating your hands, but rotate your forearms in one direction, stop, and then around in the other direction, stop, and go back and forth like that. Rotate the forearms. That's circling the forearms. Stop. Yeah, can you feel the difference? Circling? Yeah, that's okay. No, that's all right. No, that's words for you, yes? We think we totally understand the meaning of a word until someone asks us to explain what the meaning of the word is, and then we don't know the meaning of the word anymore. So the elbows wide apart. That's it. And now rotate the forearms. Beautiful. That's it. Okay. Now, notice, in which direction is the rotation the greatest? In which direction is the rotation the greatest? And that's not a request for you to make them the same in both directions. That's the job of this lesson. Now, shift your hands to being above your forehead. Oh, sorry, it's not above, it's in front of. So maintain your hands in front of your forehead and rotate your forearms just like you were doing before. And notice, does that make a difference in terms of which direction of rotation is more extensive? Okay, change the position of your hands so that they're in front of your lower ribs. And continue rotating your forearms. And again, notice, does a simple change in the location of the hands relative to the front of your body make a difference in terms of which direction of rotation it favors? Okay, and return your hands to being in front of your upper chest or your throat, and rotate your forearms and hands once more. And notice, has anything changed just having experimented with different locations of your hands relative to the front of yourself? Great. Let that be. Pause for a little while. Interlace your fingers in the non-habitual way. position your hands so that they're more or less in front of your upper chest. And this time, could you lean your right elbow on the floor to your right? And now rotate your forearms like this. Yeah, you lean your right elbow on the floor to your right. Yeah. Keep it leaning on the floor. That's it. And some of you are doing a really nice job of keeping those forearms in one complete line from elbow to elbow, so that you could almost draw a line from elbow to elbow through the forearms. That's really good. Of course it'll make a difference. No, it would add information to the lesson. So if you want to bend your legs and find out what's the difference, that's a good thing to do. As distinct from just bending your legs for the sake of bending your legs. Can you see it's two different things? If you're bending your legs to find out, it doesn't make a difference. And that's a completely different thing. Well, that's one reason, but does it affect your arms? Does it? Can you feel how your chest is a little bit different when your legs are long? Now I can see you thinking. I can see you thinking and feeling. That's good. That's good. That's what you want. Change the position of that right elbow so that it's more or less lying to the right of your right ear. In other words, higher up. And continue. And you rotate the forearms in one direction and in the other direction. No. Unless, of course, you want to inquire. Does it make a difference to the turning of my forearms, whether I have my face towards the ceiling, my head turned to the right, my head turned to the left? That's all. They're always great questions. Good, and now reposition that right elbow again so that it's lower down opposite your middle ribs or lower ribs on the floor to your right. And now return your right elbow to the place where you originally started from and notice if there's any change. Good, let that be. Pause for a little while. Interlace your fingers in the habitual way. And could you please explore in your own timing what you just did on the right, but now to the left, in those three different positions of the elbow. And pay particular attention whether the location of the elbow relative to the side of your body makes a difference in the rotation. Is one direction of rotation favored, or I like the word promoted? Yeah, is one position of the elbow, does that promote rotation in one direction? over the other direction. Now, they're just 3 different positions of the elbow. If you were making this inquiry more extensively, you could put that left elbow in a lot of different positions on the floor to your left. And eventually you might find a position that really quite obviously promotes the turning in one direction. Okay, let that be. Pause again. And as you're resting there, notice, is there anything different in the way that your back contacts the floor, and especially the shoulder blades? Interlace your fingers the non-habitual way. Position your hands so that they're in front of your upper chest. Rest your right elbow on the floor to the right. And this time, let the left arm be the initiator of the rotation. So the right arm kind of just follows, and it's the left arm that is turning the right arm. It's the left forearm that provides the power for the right forearm to move. And for some of you, that'll take a while to actually sense that what you intend is happening. So just let that right arm quietly rest on the floor and turn that left forearm one way and the other way. Was that a moment of realization? I heard a little ding. Reposition that right forearm somewhere, either higher or lower, it's up to you, but somewhere else. Reposition that right elbow on the floor somewhere, higher or lower, and continue. Notice, what difference does that make? And then once again, reposition that right elbow. The opposite to what you just had it. If your right elbow was higher, reposition it lower, and vice versa. And you're intentionally turning the left forearm while your right forearm is listening. Okay, let that be. Pause again. Now, before we switch to the other side, let's switch which forearm is providing the power for the rotation. So interlace your fingers non-habitually again. Rest your right elbow on the floor to your right. And this time, intentionally turn the right forearm. Rotate it in one direction and then rotate it in the other direction. And allow the left forearm, the left hand, to follow the lead of the right. Notice what happens with your left elbow in space. Set up the conditions for yourself where you can discern any change in the position of that left elbow. If you're flicking, if you're doing flicking rotations, you have to pick that up pretty quickly because it's over in a flash. If you're going too slow, it can be tedious. So, just right. Change the positioning of your right elbow, either higher or lower on the floor. And continue, intentionally rotating your right forearm and finding where does the left forearm go? Apart from just rotating, does the left elbow get taken in any direction in space? Switch the position of the right elbow once more, opposite to what you just did. If it was high, take it low, and if it was low, take it high. Okay, let that be. Rest a bit. Some of you may have asked this question already about functional integration, and it can be a frequently asked question by clients. Well, do I lie here on the table passively? Do you want me to move myself? What am I supposed to be doing here on the table? Good question. The answer is, I want you to be listening. Yeah? I want you to be paying attention to what's going on. And if you can do that by just sort of letting yourself hang loose, do that. If you can do that by following me, follow me. I don't mind one way or the other. But can you pay attention to the sensations that are accompanying what we're doing together? That's the important part. Interlace your fingers habitually. Position your left elbow on the floor to the left of yourself. And start to use the right arm to rotate the left arm. Use your right arm to rotate the left arm. As you do that, notice if there is any tendency at all for that left elbow to swing higher or lower on the floor. Well, it can't swing because it's resting on the floor, but is there any tendency for it to go higher or lower? Now, switch initiations. Stay in the same position, but now rotate the upper arm, the one that's off the ground, with the left forearm. So the left forearm is now providing the power, and the right arm becomes the listening arm. And we just had that, didn't we? No. Yeah, sorry. So what is it that you do in yourself to make the right arm, the right side of yourself, listen while the left side does the FI? Interesting. Interesting. Of course, if you just let that right arm flop, then you're no longer in position. However, if you keep too much tension in that right arm, then the left arm can't influence it very well. The listening gets diminished. Change the position of your left elbow, either higher or lower, and switch which arm is doing the rotating. So now it's the left arm doing the rotating. No, the right arm doing the rotating. So the right arm supplies the power. And it's your left arm that's getting the FI. And now switch. Switch which arm is supplying, which forearm is supplying the power. Okay, now reposition that left elbow one more time, higher or lower, the opposite of where you've just had it, and switch which forearm is providing the power. And then switch which forearm is providing the power. Good. Stop. Pause for a while. Interlace your fingers non-habitually. And find a way to bring your left upper arm into contact with the left side of your face. Fingers are interlaced, and bring your left upper arm into contact, fleshy contact with the left side of your face. And from here, start to rotate your forearms. Your upper arm, the bicep area. Now keep rotating your forearms and gradually change over the position until your right upper arm rests against the right side of your face. It could be more towards the ear, it could be more towards the cheek. If you can't rotate your forearms, the position is not quite serving you. The forearms need to rotate, the hands need to rotate. Find a position that allows that to happen. There we go. Now keep the rotation going and switch from right to left and from left to right. Are you sure that the forearms rotate continuously? Or is there a little hiccup somewhere along that path? Yeah, because your arms are taking a spatial pathway as they transit from one side to the other. Can the forearms rotate continuously? Okay, let it be. Pause. Interlace your fingers in your habitual fashion. Touch your left elbow to the floor, somewhere to your left. Begin to rotate your forearms. And now ever so slightly, lift the left elbow and the left upper arm from the floor and put it back down. Just a little bit. And notice, is it possible to do that without interrupting the quality of the rotation of the forearms and the flow of the motion? Just a little lift from the floor and return. Enough to slide a sheet of paper out from underneath. And a little bit at a time, start to slide your left upper arm a little bit in a downwards direction and then a little bit in an upwards direction, so that your left elbow starts to move in an arc close to the floor. So you slide that left arm a little upwards, a little downwards, constantly rotating the forearms. And when the movement starts to get bigger, in other words, when the size of the arc starts to increase, do several rotations of the forearm to go in one direction and do several rotations of the forearm to go in the other direction. So it's not one turn to slide up and one turn to slide down. Several turns upwards, several turns downwards. Okay, and now switch that idea completely around. One very slow rotation to send the elbow in one direction, and one really slow rotation to send the elbow in the other direction. One really long, attenuated rotation of the forearms to go one way and then the other. And notice which way you decide to rotate your forearms to take the elbow up and which way to take the elbow down. Forearm stays, yeah, elbow stays close to the floor. That's it. Stop. stop. Pause for a while. Interlace your fingers habitually. Rest your left upper arm on the floor to your left. And begin to rotate your forearms. And ever so slightly, lift the left upper arm a little bit away from the floor and put it down. See if it's possible to lift the arm just enough so that you feel the flesh start to lighten from the floor, but not separate away from the floor. And now start to slide your left upper arm a little bit up, a little bit down, keeping your elbow as close to the floor as is easy for you. And when the arc of motion of your left elbow starts to increase, do several rotations of your forearms to go down and do several rotations of your forearms to go up. And then switch that over completely. Do one very slow rotation of your forearms to take the elbows in one direction, and then one very slow rotation to take that left elbow in the opposite direction. Okay, stop. Pause again. Interlace your hands non-habitually and rest your hands on the floor above your head. How far away from your head, that's up to you. And now in this new position, begin to rotate both of your forearms, rotate both of your hands, one direction and then the other. And for those of you who think bending the legs would assist you in being a little bit more comfortable with your hands above your head, please feel free to do that and feel what difference that makes. Not just in terms of your experience, your comfort, but how the rest of you reconfigures when you bend your legs or when you have your legs long. Now continue rotating your forearms and slide your hands a little bit around to the left on the floor and then a little bit around to the right on the floor. Gradually making the arc bigger and bigger without compromising the quality of the rotation of your forearms. And some of you might find that your upper arm can come into contact with your face. If that's easy and it happens without you having to do it intentionally, that's great. So the forearms are continuously rotating one way and then the other way, one way and then the other way, kind of like a top-loading washing machine. Mm-hmm. Stop, rest. Interlace your fingers in whichever way you like. Place them on your abdomen. And now begin to rotate your forearms with your hands resting on your abdomen. And if you need to have your elbows higher from the floor, have them higher. Have your elbows positioned in a place that allows you to freely rotate your forearms. And now keep rotating your forearms and begin to slide your hands on your abdomen a little to the left side, through the middle, a little to the right side, through the middle. And gradually start to make that arc of motion bigger and bigger until you kind of go off your abdomen and your hands are off to the left. And then you come back onto your abdomen and your hands are off to the right. And you're making a bigger and bigger arc, almost a semicircle. Nice. Let that be. Rest again, please. Interlace your fingers. Position your hands so that they're in front of your upper chest. And now rotate your forearms and hands in one direction and the other. And pay attention. Can the extent of the rotation, can it be bigger? Is there something that you have discovered to do with the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the upper chest? that enables you to make the rotation more extensive without trying harder. Okay, let that be lying your back simply. Roll to one side, come up to standing. And pay attention, first of all, to the total experience of standing after having done that lesson, and then to the particulars of how you experience your arms and shoulders and shoulder blades in this new position in the field of gravity. Okay, now let the arms hang and start to bend yourself forward from the hip joints. Stop, come back, and do that again. Let the arms hang and bend forward from the hip joints. And notice when you go forward like that, do the shoulder blades go apart or do they come together? What do you feel? That's what you feel. Okay, now come upright again and start to raise the top of your breastbone up towards the ceiling as you incline your head backwards. Keep the arms hanging. And then return. Do that several times. And ask yourself the same question. As you take that upper breastbone, the manubrium, higher, and as your head inclines backwards, do your shoulder blades come together or move apart? They come together for you. Oh, sound. Oh. Now, the next time that you have your face inclined to the ceiling and your manubrium really high, sense very clearly the position of those two shoulder blades. Can you feel the relationship between them? Maintain that relationship. Don't change it as you return yourself to vertical. And feel that position of your shoulders. Can you feel that? Now, release that position and notice where your shoulders go. Do that again. Lift the manubrium high and let the head incline backwards out of the lifting of your manubrium. Feel where the shoulder blades go. Feel how the arms hang. Get a clear sense of that. Keep the shoulders in that relationship and then return to vertical. And then let the shoulders go. Great. Walk a little bit, please. Notice if there's a different sense in the arms and the shoulders as you walk. Fabulous. Okay. Who haven't I played with so far? Would somebody like to lie on their back Oh, you're stepping forward? Volunteer. Okay, good. Please line your back. So you'll be practicing this together. So come